Joining me now to discuss the deep state's efforts to subvert this president and the latest on the Obama spying scandal is Sara Carter, national security and war correspondent for Circa News. Welcome, Sara. Good to have you with us. And your reporting at Circa News has led the way on the unmasking scandal, the Susan Rice scandal. Tell me where you think we're headed now, the very latest.
Well, I certainly think the next step here is the House Intelligence Committee, Senate Intelligence Committee, is reviewing all the documents that they've been asking for from the NSA. And those are all those FISA warrants that we've been talking about, right. All of those records that were unmasked, either with or without FISA. Because remember, Susan Rice could just ask for them, and then they could be unmasked just based on national security implications. So if she had a national security concern, she didn't need to explain herself any more beyond that in order to get those documents and then request the unmasking. What they want to know is, what was she looking at? Were there others looking at those same documents, and why? And did they have anything to do with Russia, or did they go far beyond Russia? One of the things I did hear, Lou, which is very interesting, and I've been talking to quite a few folks this past week, is that they're not getting all the documentation that they've been requesting. So, for example, if they request a certain group of documents, they're not getting all of it. It's redacted. They either don't have the names of the people that requested the unmasking, right, or they don't know who exactly they unmasked. So this is a potential problem within the House Intelligence Committee. And so I'm certain that they're going to try to resolve this with the NSA and with others. But that's something that we need to be looking at as we move forward.
And there are sufficient, if you will, leftovers from the Obama administration still highly placed within those agencies. That this is following a pattern that marked the Obama administration, that is the era of immense, extraordinary redaction, even on the documents they did produce, and questions about where was the rest of it that we've asked for. And committees ultimately, whether it was Benghazi, whether it was Fast and Furious, whatever the investigation, congressional investigation, ultimately the fire left their bellies and they simply wrapped it up. The history of congressional investigations over the Obama presidency is not a good one.
That's absolutely true. I mean, there's enormous frustration within the intelligence community. You can imagine when we first broke these stories, John Solomon and I, right, he is my colleague and he is fantastic, and we worked diligently on this. The intelligence community personnel were like wanting to share information because they don't want to look like they are spying on Americans. And for some reason, they have a deep concern that that is how they are being portrayed, and that is what happened to them. So we were able to obtain a number of documents that were declassified, documents that shouldn't have been declassified until 2045, and such, where it showed that the Obama administration actually, the FISA court signed off with the Obama administration as early as 2011 to allow them to redact these names with more frequency. And even, Director Brennan with the CIA, James Clapper, of course, you would think because they are part of the intelligence community that maybe that would be their purview. Yeah. But then we saw NSA, National Security Advisor Susan Rice doing the same. So there's a lot of concern here that these expansion of powers allowed them great access into what was once, we thought, private information, private conversations.
Yeah, and think about this, John Brennan, James Clapper, both, it turns out, caught lying about the extent of their activities of the intelligence community and their own, whether it be the CIA spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee. Let me quote, which we don't often do here, but Senator Lindsey Graham talking about the very issue of privacy and the extent of this incidental collection. He said, "This is really scary to me," speaking about the Obama spying scandal, the Susan Rice scandal. "This is really scary to me. I understand incidental collection is part of the process, but when you have government officials like myself, the Trump team, I think you should cut the machine off." There's every impression here that that machine went much farther than the Trump transition team, much farther than Senator Graham, almost in every direction. What do you think as we wrap up?
I think you're absolutely right. I think it went much further. We know that there's evidence of congressional members and aides being unmasked as frequently as at least once a month, if not more. And I know there's concern that journalists and others in fields that were once very protected are also being unmasked. So this is something that the House Intelligence Committee is going to look at. We know that they've expanded the investigation into this. This is a concern for them. And it should be a concern, Lou, for every American.
Absolutely.
How far did this go and why?
And Sara Carter, we're going to be watching you carefully to be sure that we're up to date on how far it does go. Thanks for being with us. Sara Carter, thank you very much, Circa News.